Well, good evening and welcome to a Magnolia State weather live update. This is not going to be our live stream going throughout the night with severe weather coverage just yet. That is expected to start anywhere in the next hour to 2 hours, really whenever storms start getting really close to northern Mississippi. And so here's where we're sitting right now. As you'll see, plenty of severe thunderstorm warnings and tornado warnings just off to the west of Mississippi right now through central Arkansas. And so if you look above me, 16 active severe thunderstorm warnings, 5 active tornado warnings right now. We're going to have the whole crew here for Magnolia State weather throughout all night as these storms are going through. You'll have Jake behind me. You'll have Hudson behind me. I'm going to have Jacob in my ear, I believe, and I think I'll have some more help with that as well. But overall, as many people as we can for the coverage tonight across the state of Mississippi. It's going to be a long one spanning basically from about 6 p.m. all the way maybe until 3 to 4 a.m. Really, we'll have to wait and see. But here you'll see that tornado watch all the way across northern Mississippi and then into portions of central Mississippi. We'll go ahead and dive into that just a little bit. This is as far south as Yazoo City. Also includes Kosciuszko, Starkville, West Point, and Aberdeen. But if you're north of those locations, you're also in that tornado watch. Now, if you're farther south in central Mississippi or even south Mississippi, honestly, expect to be in a tornado watch later tonight. I would completely expect you to be under a tornado watch at some point as these storms are moving through. I want to make sure everyone can hear me, so if you can hear me, please make sure to let me know in the chat. Just trying to make sure everything's working really before the main live stream later. Remember, you can always watch Magnolia State weather on YouTube if you want this on a TV. Just look up Magnolia State weather, or after this live stream is over, I'm going to put a link on Facebook to help y'all get to the YouTube channel, and then you can easily put it on your Roku TV, Fire Stick TV, or whatever smart TV you have, and it'll be easy for you to have it on the TV. So anyways, lots to talk about. Luckily, one announcement I have is that we will have Skycam access in northern Mississippi, courtesy of the North Mississippi Storm Chasers. So that's going to be good. I'll give you some kind of things we've been looking at. So one thing that I thought would happen is models have been kind of downplaying how high the temperatures in the dew points we're going to get today. And so what does that mean? Well, we'll look at the models in just a second, but we're seeing an increased likelihood of those discrete supercells, mostly along portions of northern Mississippi, but honestly, we're seeing some of that into southern Mississippi possibly as well. So definitely along this corridor, basically all the way across northern Mississippi, but then specifically, I'll do like a pink area here, the highest likelihood. We're seeing in western Mississippi, the likelihood increasing of discrete supercells with a tornado potential. But also, we've been seeing that honestly as far west as Highway 45, and then we've also seen that potential down into portions of southern Mississippi possibly later today. And so what's happening is the models were not expecting us to get into the lower 80s today across the state, but of course we did. And this is a normal trend in the spring, and it's been something that I always kind of study and look at. But the higher temperatures means that the atmosphere can hold more moisture, meaning that we're possibly seeing cells ahead of the main squall line. And so we've heard of a squall line before. A squall line is what moved through on Wednesday that produced over 20 tornadoes there in South Mississippi. So not only do they have gusty winds, they produce tornadoes. And so not only will we have a squall line potentially come through today, but now we're also seeing the potential for discrete supercells. And so discrete supercells are like those classic cells that you normally see with, really they're associated with major tornadoes. I'll show you one on the radar here over Arkansas. Let's see. So like a cell out here by itself, this one to the south of Sheridan, Arkansas, this would be a discrete supercell. And so usually when these produce tornadoes, usually they're really bad. And so that's a new development we're seeing possibly across Mississippi, is going to be discrete supercells. We'll get into that here in just a little bit. But overall, a long kind of update here before I get ready and our crew gets ready to go live for who knows how many hours we'll be live tonight, honestly. But I'll be ready to go starting at about 6, maybe 7 p.m. and then throughout the night. Heck, I have class in the morning, but who knows? Maybe I'll only get 2 hours of sleep tonight. Really, we'll have to wait and see. But thank you to over 40 people already watching for just a simple update. So we'll go ahead and go through that right now. So the first thing I want to look at is the SPC risk. Of course, you've probably seen this, which shows an enhanced risk for severe weather, a level 3 of 5, spanning all the way across Mississippi, all the way down towards Macomb and Hattiesburg, with South Mississippi and the Florida parishes of Louisiana being in a level 2 slight risk for severe weather. Let me move this mic a little closer to me. Probably help y'all out a little bit. So we have a high risk today, and so we can break that down even farther. First, starting with the tornado risk. Right now, the highest tornado risk is up there in northern Mississippi, and you'll see these dashed marks across the entire map. And so that's the Storm Prediction Center telling us that the odds of a tornado decrease as you go farther south. That's what we're seeing tonight. But overall, even though your risk decreases as you go down into South Mississippi, overall, everybody can still potentially see a major tornado tonight. And so that's what that's telling us. You're at a higher likelihood to see a tornado up in North Mississippi. But overall, even with a lower likelihood, any tornado tonight can be fairly severe. And so I say fairly severe, I mean fairly devastating. And so overall, I mean, damaging winds, tornadoes. The question really is this going to be worse than Wednesday? Because Wednesday was a slight risk. Personally, I thought it could have been an enhanced risk. I mean, I don't know. I don't think we have any way to know for sure. It definitely looks like the models have picked up in terms of severe tornadoes. I mean, we only had EF1s on Wednesday night. Overall, this event has a higher ceiling, if that makes sense. We can definitely see possibly a major tornado with this system tonight. And so that's what we're looking at there across Mississippi. And so I believe the ceiling is higher than on Wednesday night. I do not know if we will have more tornadoes than Wednesday night. So that's something we will have to wait and see. Unfortunately, I cannot give you a definite answer on that. But at the end of the day, it is weather. I can only give you my best interpretation of what I'm seeing. Anyways, here's the HRRR model. This one has been called an outlier by a lot of people, but I honestly think that it has something worth noting. So looking at the HRRR, storms start moving in at about 6, maybe 7 p.m. And what you'll see is we're not seeing a squall line anymore. Notice how we're seeing discrete cells across portions of Arkansas and Louisiana. I mean, you can circle the individual cells here. And so what this is telling me is maybe we're transitioning away from a squall line type event. That was what was originally thought, but if we see these discrete supercells move into northern Mississippi, it's going to be a long and rough night because, I mean, if I move over here to, let's go to surface-based CAPE. So what is CAPE? CAPE is that storm fuel. I mean, we're going to have roughly 1,500 joules per kilogram, maybe near 2,000 CAPE. And that's telling me that's plenty of fuel to fuel some dangerous tornadoes. So overall, the fuel is there. And so if these storms do decide to be discrete, it could definitely cause major problems across the Mississippi Delta, across portions of northern Mississippi, and then maybe even into South Mississippi. And so I'm just playing this through to kind of show you what's happening with the model. I mean, by the time we get to this is 10 p.m., still some discrete supercells over northern Mississippi. That line starts to kind of straighten out once again, kind of into that QLCS type look. But overall, I mean, it's very dangerous seeing the HRRR model, which is a very good model, switching from one straight line of damaging winds and possibly some spin-up tornadoes to now we're seeing individual supercells with the potential of tornadoes. And so that's what I've been worried about, especially with how high the temperatures got today. It's definitely something we're going to have to just wait and see. I would say the likelihood of tornadoes has definitely increased throughout the day today. Here's the NAM 3K. The NAM model, not really too keen on tornado development out in front of the line, but overall you can see that this model is coming in with a very strong squall line across Mississippi. And this one will be like Wednesday, where it just looks like a line moving through, but you will have tornadoes in that line. And so really, it's pick your poison. Do you want a very strong squall line moving through that's going to have damaging winds and then those brief tornadoes in there? Or do you want those supercells that are maybe going to take away some of the wind threat, but overall can definitely have way stronger tornadoes? And that's not taking away from a squall line. A squall line can produce strong tornadoes as strong as supercells. Well, I guess they are technically supercells, but you get what I mean. So, overall, be ready for either one tonight, because if we don't see discrete supercells, for the most part, we will see a damaging wind event with some spin-up tornadoes in there. So be prepared across Mississippi. I'm not usually, I don't like to fearmonger. That's not what I do. This event just simply has uptrended in the last 24 hours. So, yes, so that's what we're going through right now. Do I think they will expand the watch into central Mississippi? Most definitely. And I think they will even expand the watch into South Mississippi as we get closer to event time. And so that's what I believe there. And so those are two models I've showed you. Let's move over to the RRFS. So we saw the HRRR, which is a very good model, showing possibly discrete supercells across Mississippi, posing a major tornado risk. We just saw the NAM 3K showing more of a linear event with damaging winds and spin-up tornadoes. But here's another one, the RRFS. And so this one shows both, which honestly would be the worst case scenario here. You'd have discrete supercells ahead of the line, and then you would also have a strong line of damaging winds and spin-up tornadoes behind it. And so this is what I'm talking about. This line is going to be rough for northern Mississippi no matter what happens. I've been saying that North Mississippi is definitely in the brunt of this. However, I don't think that takes away anything of South Mississippi, because if this line stays together, I mean, you're still looking at damaging winds and tornadoes all the way down into southern Mississippi and into the Louisiana parishes. So that's what I'm saying, is like, I think the worst impacts will more than likely be in northern Mississippi, north of I-20, but those impacts can definitely still be felt south of I-20. So overall, all of Mississippi will be going through this tonight. It's going to be a long night, but overall, let's make sure everyone stays safe. Let's have ways to get alerts, because, I mean, I'm not usually really impressed with systems, but, I mean, this system is looking impressive now. This morning models were showing this line weakening a good bit as it reached South Mississippi, but I'm not so sure how much it will weaken. Really, this is showing weakening maybe once it gets towards coastal Mississippi. And so that's where we're sitting at that tonight. Overall timing, I'll go ahead and try to plan it out here. This is showing roughly 6 p.m. is when it begins in northern Mississippi. Central Mississippi, this will begin really around 9 p.m. It'll begin moving out of North Mississippi by about 11, but then it starts moving into South Mississippi at roughly 10 p.m. And then it'll be completely out of our state by roughly 3 a.m. Could it weaken there in the Delta? If you're in the Delta, personally, I mean, I think you're in a rough spot there in the Delta. I think the Delta is going to be probably one of the hardest hits tonight. At least that's what models are showing. It's looking like discrete supercells are possible there within the next hour or two. And so if you're there in the Delta, I would be prepared just for tornadoes and damaging winds. But I'm not expecting it to weaken before it gets to the Delta. If anything, it's going to strengthen. Let me go ahead and fix this over here. Actually, ignore what's going on above me with the counter going off the screen. I'll fix that before the main live stream starts. If anyone has questions, feel free to go ahead and send them in. I'll answer any questions real quick, and then I'll get ready to go live for the weather coverage here tonight. So if you have any questions, feel free to send those in. But that's what I'm seeing. Multiple models suggesting maybe some supercells are possible ahead of this line, carrying a major tornado threat. And then overall, I mean, that entire line is going to move through the state, bringing with it damaging winds and the potential of spin-up tornadoes. But that's where we're sitting at tonight. I mean, this shows really our threat ending here in Mississippi, probably around, what is that, 3 to 4 a.m. So it's going to be a long night across the Magnolia State. So anyways, if nobody has questions, I'll probably be live around 6:30. I'll probably post a time on the Facebook here very soon. But just turn on notifications. If you haven't subscribed on YouTube, I'm about to post a link to that. If you subscribe on YouTube, press the bell icon. That'll give you notifications when we go live. But overall, thank you all for watching this update. We will be back in probably a little bit over an hour to begin our severe weather coverage covering the state of Mississippi. So anyways, thank y'all. I hope y'all stay safe. Make sure you get alerts ready. Inform people that might not know about this system. And God bless.